Hello, my name is Danny Panduro, second generation owner of J and L Autobody and Paint Shop. I'd like to talk to you today about a parts process that we've implemented in our facility. After today, I hope that you can gain some knowledge and implement your own process to see the benefits that we've seen and how it can positively impact your cycle time as well as your attention. Let's take a look at what's going on. Let's first talk about the teardown process. The idea behind the teardown is to identify any parts and any labor that you're going to need at the beginning of the process versus the middle or the end. We've all been there. It's Friday afternoon trying to deliver a car. The technician says he needs a part. The customer's already been promised a vehicle, now you're in trouble. How can we avoid that? The teardown does that. I'd like to show you the quarter panel. We obviously can see that we have a need to replace the quarter panel. More importantly, it's the surrounding areas as well. The rear door, we determined that we need to blend the door. You can see, however, we've removed the handle, the belt molding, and this lower molding. It's also been identified that this lower molding cannot be reused. We must replace it. The important thing here is not that we need the molding, but more importantly, that we've identified that need at the beginning of the repair process. So walk around to the trunk lid, same idea. You're going to be blending the trunk lid perfectly fine. However, as you can see, we've already de-trimmed the license plates and the nameplates. We've identified which nameplates we can reuse and which we need to replace. Again, the key being at the beginning of the process and not at the end. On the inside of the vehicle, we've even gone through and we've removed the headliner. We've removed all of our trim, including our seats, our package tray, our speakers, sent back any wire. Again, the important thing here to identify is that we've done so at the beginning of the process so that we do not incur any delays moving forward. I want to show you an example of a car that maybe doesn't exemplify the teardown, and then we can talk about some of the hazards, potential hazards that we could face moving forward in this repair. So let's take a look at the center pillar repairs we're completing into this RAV4. Take a look and see if we can identify some opportunities that would help us avoid delays moving forward. Take a look here at this weather strip on the upper section of the pillar. We know we're going to be blending out the clear cut on this pillar, but this weather strip is in the way. So if I put my hand behind it, I can actually feel that it's clipped in. The need for the clip should be identified at the beginning of the process and not at the end. The clip breaks, it's important that we identify that and get it ordered right away. As we move down here, we can see these decals. The decals are still on the pillar. If we have the tendency to leave those decals on during the teardown process, we might have the tendency to leave them on during our estimating process. We want to make sure we identify that need and make sure that it's not overlooked. The security sensor on the pillar for the door is bolted in. 9 times out of 10, that sensor is going to come out fine. That one time that it does break on you, it's important that you identify that at the beginning of the process so you don't have any delays moving forward. There's a few more opportunities on this panel, and I'm sure you can probably take a look and identify them. It's important, again, just make sure you identify these issues during the teardown, during the initial estimating process, and not during the actual repair process. I want to then now go ahead and talk about the next stage, and that's how we stock and store our parts. And talk about some of the pros and cons there as well. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our parts racks and our system for storing and holding parts. As you can see, we use a pretty basic system. It's a simple baker's cart with 4 shelves on it. This just happens to be what works for us. As you tour the facilities and get different ideas. Many ways to do what we're doing here. Whatever works for you and fits into your shop is best, as long as you have some system and some way to hold and store your parts. On the bottom shelf of our parts rack down here, it's just we use to go ahead and store bulky parts, things that we know won't be fitting into the storage area where we hold all the other parts. The middle 2 shelves we go ahead and we use for all the damaged parts that we're expecting to buy from the dealership. And then up top we go ahead and we use for bumper covers. Whether the bumper is going to be repaired or replaced, the system for us is to go ahead and store them on the top shelf. Everybody in the shop understands that this is how we build the carts. So there's really no question as to whether or not this part is going to be replaced or not. It's on the shelf, it means it's going to be replaced, and we know we've got to get it in. Simple identification for the parts carts, visual indicator. Again, as we go ahead and we put it over here in our parts staging area, we know that this is where the parts are being held until the parts actually arrive from the dealership. Once the parts arrive, we go ahead and head into a final stage of the parts procurement process, and that's our parts receiving and parts mirroring process. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. I'd like to take a quick minute and go ahead and review our parts mirroring and our parts receiving process, the final stage in our parts procurement process. As you can see here, we've got the window regulator, the old and the new. We've gone ahead and we've ordered the correct window regulator, but we received the incorrect one. just holding it up and looking at it side by side, it's easily identifiable that we have a right side and we have a left side. The benefit to this process is that we've identified this need at the beginning and not at the end. So now we have time to go ahead and get the correct part in and still stay on schedule with the repair process. To our right, we have our parts cart that we've gone ahead and we've rebuilt. We've taken the parts cart that was in the parts staging area that we built after teardown, and we've now rebuilt it with all the correct parts that have been mirror matched and received by our parts builders. As you can see here, old and the new, old and the new, old and new. This is what works for us. It's allowed us to be sure that we've received all the correct parts and we're ready to move forward. The last thing that is done is our parts manager goes, takes our parts list, and he makes sure he crosses off every item that was requested by the estimator on the estimate. Of course, he's received it, he's mirror matched it, and we feel confident that we can enter the repair process without any expected delays or fatigue points. Thank you for watching this video on our part procurement process. I hope that you can take some of this knowledge back with you to your shop and better the system that you have to have parts flow through your facility. The impact that parts can have on your ability to get the car in and out the door is tremendous. The better your parts process, the more efficient your repair process will become. Your cycle time will go down, your touch time will go up. In the end, the customer will be happy. Thanks for watching.